Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video thumbs up. According to the bold and the beautiful B&B spoilers for Tuesday, March 10th, Katie Logan Spencer, Heather Tom, and Bill Spencer, Don Diamont, will stand up to Brooke Logan Forrester, Catherine Kelly Lang, and Ridge Forrester, Torsten Kay, despite their attempts to reconcile. As Tuesday's B&B episode begins, Ridge and Brooke will dine with Bill and Katie in the hopes of finding a way forward. Perhaps Brooke and Ridge will urge that, for Eric Forrester's, John McCook's, sake, they put the fashion drama behind them and move on. That won't work for Bill, who believes they have the right to use the drawings Eric has already submitted to Logan. Katie had been skeptical about it, but she will eventually agree to Bill's idea. Of course, this will escalate the tension because Ridge and Brooke will believe Bill and Katie are stealing from Eric. Brooke and Ridge will react negatively to Katie and Bill's conduct because those designs are Forrester originals. Meanwhile, Dylan, Sydney Bullock, will reflect on her kiss with Will Spencer, Crew Morrow, during her shift at Il Giardino. Deke Sharp, Harrison Cohn, may observe Dylan's distraction and wonder what she wants to say. Dylan will make Deke her confidant on Tuesday's show, so she'll sit at the bar and reveal her feelings for Will. Although things are tough, Dylan may acknowledge that she hopes Will may someday move past Electra Forrester, Linnea Grace, and have a happy future with her. Dylan will benefit from Will and Electra's failed attempt to reconcile in the following episodes. Ivy Forrester's, Ashley Brewer, plan to keep Electra and Will apart will continue, but she will struggle to keep Daphne Rose, Muriel Hilaire, quiet. As for Will and R.J. Forrester, Brian Nicoletti, their feud is just going to get worse from here. According to the bold and the beautiful spoilers, RJ and Will are on the verge of a full-fledged feud, so keep an eye out for any negative developments. CDL will have more amazing bold and the beautiful spoilers and news to share, so make us your favorite B&B location. The tension in Los Angeles had been building for weeks, like a storm cloud that refused to break. The Logan and Forrester families, linked by marriages, betrayals, and unending cycles of forgiveness and vengeance, were once again at a crossroads. Brooke Logan Forrester, the perpetual optimist when it comes to love and family, had persuaded her husband Ridge Forrester that it was time to extend an olive branch. The latest conflicts, centered on financial movements at Forrester Creations, personal loyalty, and the ripple effects from younger generations, have ruptured friendships that previously appeared impenetrable. Brooke hoped that a simple dinner might repair the damage that words had caused. Ridge, however apprehensive, consented because he despised seeing Brooke in agony. His destiny with her had survived worse, but this time it featured his lifelong enemy Bill Spencer and Brooke's sister, Katie Logan Spencer. Bill and Katie had gotten closer again in recent months, their shared past and mutual protectiveness forming a bond that felt stronger than many imagined. They had taken a position against what they saw as Brooke and Ridge's overreach, possibly involving designs, company choices, or even interfering in their personal lives, and the schism had gotten wider. The meal was held at a quiet, elegant restaurant with a view of the city, the type of place where bargains were made and hearts were broken without raising voices. Brooke arrived first. Adjusting her gorgeous outfit and maintaining her characteristic hopeful grin despite the knot in her gut. Ridge followed, his posture upright, his gaze sweeping the room as if anticipating an ambush. Bill and Katie entered hand in hand, their faces guarded. Bill's characteristic swagger was balanced by something colder and more determined. Katie's eyes, which were typically warm toward her sister, had a spark of pain that had not dissipated. They sat at a circular table, and the warm lighting did little to soften the mood. Brooke began gently, pouring wine and speaking of family, about how blood and history should trump grudges. She discussed the Logans and how they always found their way back to each other. Ridge agreed, explaining that Forrester Creations thrived when everyone pulled in the same way. He recalled Eric's legacy, the designs that had caused so much recent controversy, and suggested that they should honor the past by collaborating again. Katie listened quietly at first, drinking her wine, but then her fingers tightened around the glass stem. Bill watched her, ready to intervene. When Brooke got to the heart of her plea, an apology for any perceived slights, a commitment to respect boundaries, Katie lowered her glass with purposeful calm. "Brooke," she began with a voice that was steady but powerful, "this isn't about apologies anymore. It's about actions. You and Ridge keep circling back to the same patterns. You decide what's best for everyone, then act surprised when we push back. Brooke's face dropped slightly, but she leaned forward. Katie, we're trying to make things right. Bill, you know how much I value you both. We've been through so much. Bill interrupted, his tone low and menacing. Save the nostalgia, Brooke. We've heard it before. The truth is, you've chosen sides, again. And it's not ours. Ridge bristled. Bill, this isn't about sides. It's about moving forward. Eric's designs belong where they were intended, Katie interjected. Not repurposed for your latest scheme. We've made our position clear. We're not interested in your truce if it means compromising what we believe. The conversation grew from there. Brooke sought to touch Katie's heart by reminding her of their sisterly love and years of support through grief and victory. Katie accepted the love but refused to let it blind her. Love doesn't mean unconditional agreement, Brooke. Sometimes it means holding the line. Bill backed her up, his comments sharper. He accused Ridge of hubris, claiming that his vision for the corporation superseded everyone else's. Ridge fired back, defending his status as Eric's heir and claiming that bold steps were required to keep Forrester relevant. Voices increased just enough to draw attention from surrounding tables, but no one shouted. This was a drama-loving family that kept things under control even when it was at its most intense. In the end, Katie and Bill stood. Katie stared at her sister with genuine sadness. We came tonight because we hoped you'd hear us. But you haven't. We're done pretending this can be fixed with dinner and wine. Bill placed his hand on Katie's back, protectively. Consider this our final word. Stay out of our lane. They went without looking back. Brooke's eyes welled up as she looked after them. Ridge reached for her hand, muttering, We'll find another way. But the truce failed catastrophically, leaving only ashes where peace may have flourished. Across town, in a quieter part of town, another talk began with its own weight. Dylan, a young woman caught up in a tornado of family drama and personal sorrow, sat across from Deke in a small apartment. The apartment was basic and lived in stark contrast to the lavish world of the Forrester and Spencer empires. Dylan had been suffering with relationships, rivalries between Will Spencer and Electra, and the continual push-pull of expectations. She appeared weary, her usual zeal dulled. Deke listened as she shared her heart. She discussed the kiss with Will, how it had strained her relationship with Electra, and how the consequences had left her feeling like an outsider in her own life. Tears flowed as she explained her uncertainty, remorse, and dread that she had wrecked everything beyond repair. Deke didn't say much. He nodded, supplied tissues, and allowed her words fill the silence. When she finished, he spoke quietly. You've been carrying this alone too long. You deserve a break, Dylan. Someone to give you a real chance. Dylan's phone vibrated as if on cue. It was Steffi Forrester. The call was brief yet essential. Steffi, ever determined, had been keeping an eye on the younger players in the Forrester orbit. She recognized Dylan's potential, raw, but real. The offer came unexpectedly, a position at Forrester Creations, entry-level but with possibility for advancement, a chance to establish herself away from the personal mess. Dylan looked at the phone after hanging up, surprised. Steffi just offered me a job. Like it's no big deal. Deke smiled. Maybe it's exactly what you need. A fresh start, on your terms. She laughed through lingering tears. I don't know if I'm ready. But maybe that's the point. Back at the restaurant, Brooke and Ridge lingered over unfinished desserts. Brooke dried her tears and composed herself. I thought if we just talked, really talked. Ridge sighed. Some wounds take more than words, Logan. But we don't give up. Not on family. But doubt crept in. The denial had been harsh and final. Katie and Bill had drawn a line, and crossing it now posed the risk of irreparable fracture. Bill's protectiveness toward Katie had hardened into something immovable, He perceived Brooke and Ridge's attempts as manipulation rather than genuine outreach. Katie, on her part, felt the sting of betrayal again, her sister choosing Ridge's vision over their shared history. The night wore on. Brooke and Ridge drove home in silence, the city lights flashing past. They held hands, but the hold was tentative. In their universe, love always won out in the end, but tonight distance and resolution triumphed. Meanwhile, Dylan lay awake, repeating Steffi's comments. A position at Forrester, possibly in design or another creative field. It horrified and excited her in equal measure. Deke's support rang true, she deserved a respite. Perhaps this was it. In the days that followed, the ripples expanded. Katie and Bill withdrew inside, strengthening their relationship and possibly even moving forward with Eric's legacy on their own terms. Whispers in the industry suggested they would launch something independent, a risky move that would directly attack Forrester. Brooke felt a pang when she heard the stories. She wanted to reach out again, but she knew better. Ridge plunged himself into work, sketching furiously, anxious to show that his path forward was correct. Brooke encouraged him, but her heart grieved for her sister. Family dinners, which were formerly commonplace, became unusual. Invitations remained unanswered. However, soap opera lives are rarely ruined forever. Even in rejection, seeds of eventual reunion were planted. Shared grandchildren, inescapable business overlaps, and the tug of blood. Katie's heart might soften one day when she remembers Brooke's weeping. Bill could see Ridge's goals were not entirely selfish. However, the lines have already been drawn. Katie and Bill had rejected the peace offering, seeing it as an imposition. Brooke and Ridge's truce had failed, and they were left to deal with the aftermath alone. Dylan, tentatively entering into a new chapter, represented optimism amidst the devastation. Perhaps her accomplishment will bridge gaps that none of the elders could. Or perhaps the drama would simply intensify. In Los Angeles, where fashion and emotions met on a daily basis, nothing remained still. The bold and the beautiful continued its unending dance of love, betrayal, forgiveness, and repeat. Tonight's rejection was just another step in the process, painful but necessary, propelling everyone forward to whatever came next. Tensions increase in Los Angeles as another emotional chapter unfolds for the families involved with Forrester Creations. On this eventful day, attempts at reconciliation simply exacerbate existing divisions, demonstrating that old wounds and unresolved grievances still wield great influence over everyone concerned. What begins as an optimistic attempt to repair ties gradually devolves into anger and animosity, leaving some people wondering if peace is even possible. The conflict revolves around the complicated relationships of Brooke Logan, Ridge Forrester, Katie Logan, and Bill Spencer. These four have spent years embroiled in emotional turmoil, romantic betrayals, and familial loyalty fights. Brooke and Katie, in particular, have a strong sisterly bond that has weathered many disasters in the past. However, their friendship has been damaged by romantic disagreements and business rivalries, particularly since Bill Spencer joined their life. Bill's history with both sisters has resulted in long-lasting tension, which can still be felt in their current encounters. Brooke Logan, Katie Logan, and Bill Spencer Jr. have often tried to maintain their familial ties separate from their complex romantic histories. The current schism arose after Bill surprised Katie with an extravagant wedding gift, a brand new fashion firm. While Bill intended the gesture as a romantic expression of devotion, it sparked outrage inside the family. Brooke and Ridge questioned the move, concerned about how it would affect existing dynamics in the fashion industry and the Forrester circle. What should have been a celebration instead sparked a series of contentious debates, especially because the new business bore the Logan name. The name Logan provoked family tension, which spread swiftly. Brooke believed the action had symbolic resonance for the entire Logan family lineage. Meanwhile, Ridge was concerned that the move would cause professional tension with Forrester Creations and potentially split loyalties among designers and business partners. Despite her reservations, Katie continued to support Bill's goal. She saw the new venture as an opportunity to establish her own identity and move forward confidently. The issue became even more difficult when Eric Forrester agreed to be the principal designer for Katie's new fashion label. This development heightened stress because Eric's engagement indicated a strong commitment to the endeavor. Suddenly, what had begun as a romantic present from Bill had evolved into a serious competitor in the fashion industry. Brooke and Ridge were concerned about the ramifications, especially since the Forrester family business has always been inextricably linked with personal connections. In the midst of the conflict, Brooke and Ridge decided it was time to intervene and try to restore calm. They saw how severely family divisions might harm relationships over time, and they believed that giving an olive branch would prevent the problem from worsening. Their strategy was straightforward: approach Katie and Bill gently, admit the misunderstandings, and work toward a compromise that would allow everyone to go on without hatred. For Brooke, this endeavor was emotionally significant. Her relationship with Katie has had its ups and downs throughout the years, but the sisters have always managed to reconcile. Brooke believed that regardless of how heated things become, family relationships should always come first. She hoped Katie would see that her motives were based on love rather than criticism. Ridge shared Brooke's wish to restore harmony, but his perspective included business concerns. As a key figure in the Forrester fashion empire, Ridge understood how quickly personal disagreements may derail professional cooperation. He wanted to make sure that Katie and Bill's decisions did not harm the larger family business or cause long-term divisions among the Forresters and Logans. Ridge Forrester has frequently found himself resolving family disagreements because of his connections to both sides. When Brooke and Ridge eventually approached Katie and Bill with their peace proposal, they anticipated opposition but hoped for at least a willingness to discuss. Instead, they received a significantly worse response than expected. Katie and Bill were not interested in compromising. Brooke and Ridge, according to them, had already crossed a line by criticizing their plans and intervening in private decisions. Bill, in particular, responded enthusiastically. He was known for his aggressive nature and refusal to back down from a challenge, and he made it obvious that he would not allow any interference in his marriage or business decisions. He believed Brooke and Ridge were seeking to undermine Katie's independence and called into question his capacity to support his wife's objectives. Bill claimed that the new fashion firm was a symbol of their collaboration, and that no one else had the right to tell them how to operate it. Katie supported Bill's position, albeit her emotions were more conflicted. Part of her was saddened since Brooke looked dubious of the project rather than praising her success. Katie had spent years attempting to establish herself in both the family and the corporate world. To her, the new fashion firm represented an opportunity to step out of her sister's shadow and create something important with Bill. Hearing criticism, even if it was meant as care, seemed like a betrayal. The talk swiftly turned into a tense standoff. Brooke attempted to explain that her purpose was merely to keep the family together, but Katie saw it as condescending. She believed Brooke was once again asserting dominance over her younger sister's life. Old resentments emerged, reminding both women of old fights that had never been entirely resolved. Ridge attempted to de-escalate the situation by urging everyone to take a step back and contemplate the long-term implications of the rivalry. However, Bill declined to consider the suggestion. In his opinion, Brooke and Ridge's meddling had already inflamed the fight, and he saw no reason to accept their peace offer now. Katie and Bill eventually rejected the attempt at reconciliation openly. Their decision startled Brooke and Ridge, who had hoped for a short ceasefire. Instead, the denial revealed that the schism between the two spouses had become wider than anyone had anticipated. Brooke was noticeably shaken following the failed peace attempt. She had assumed that no matter how complicated things were, she and Katie would always find a way to mend their relationship. Watching her sister pull away so firmly caused Brooke to accept the prospect that this issue would not be easily resolved. Ridge, meantime, was dealing with his own frustration. As someone who valued both familial loyalty and career stability, he saw the possible consequences if tensions escalated. Los Angeles's fashion sector is intricately linked, and a quarrel between influential families might have far-reaching consequences for the economic world. While Brooke and Ridge absorbed the failure of their peace endeavor, other tales developed throughout the city. Emotional drama persisted among younger people grappling with interpersonal problems and personal insecurity. Electra, for example, became more uneasy with the situation between Will and Dylan. The convoluted interactions between them caused confusion and unease, leaving Electra unsure of her position. To find comfort and clarity, Electra gradually opened up to R.J. Forrester. Their chat became profoundly intimate as she discussed the tension and the strain she was suffering. RJ listened intently, offering support and understanding as Electra described all that had happened throughout her life. RJ. During a difficult time, Forrester provided unexpected comfort. As the two talked, a sense of kinship developed between them. Emotional vulnerability can sometimes form strong ties, as it appeared to do between Electra and RJ. Their shared moment suggested that fresh love possibilities were emerging, even as other relationships around them continued to collapse. Meanwhile, Dylan went to Deke for advice. Dylan was overwhelmed by the drama surrounding Electra, Will, and other issues, and he needed someone to listen without passing judgment. Deke provided that support, allowing Dylan to express his anger and reflect on previous occurrences. Conversations like this are frequently used to help characters digest their emotions and decide how to proceed. Back at the center of the major battle, the tension between the Logan sisters remained high. Brooke hoped that time might soften Katie's stance, but her rejection of the peace offering suggested otherwise. Katie looked more determined than ever to support Bill and demonstrate that their partnership could work without outside interference. For Bill, the episode fueled his long-standing animosity with Ridge. The two men have had several disagreements over the years, frequently fighting for power, respect, and romantic partners. Their new argument is just another chapter in a feud that has shaped many of the show's most dramatic plotlines. As the day came to a close, it became evident that reconciliation was unlikely to occur anytime soon. Instead, the failed truce had resulted in new emotional wounds that would take time to heal. Brooke and Ridge were left wondering whether they should keep attempting to restore the relationship or step back and let Katie and Bill make their own decisions, even if those decisions risked widening the family gap. In the world of Los Angeles fashion and high-stakes relationships, every decision has consequences. Alliances fluctuate, loyalties are tested, and emotions frequently override reasoning. The Logan and Forrester families' rejection of a simple peace gesture may serve as the spark that sparks an even greater war in the coming days. What is uncertain is whether love and familial bonds will eventually triumph over pride and bitterness. The characters have shared years of history, tragedy, and reconciliation. However, the most profound relationships are not always the strongest.